Welcome back to Chicago Independent Television. Many Chicagoans are mystified by the controversial and complicated tax increment financing, or TIFs, in Chicago government. This next video explains what TIFs are and how they work.
TIFs, an acronym for Tax Increment Financing. It's an obscure and controversial financial mechanism in the budget of the city of Chicago, which the Chicago corporate media seldom discuss or even mention, presumably because it would take a flock of finance professors from the country of Nerdistan just to explain. But in this video, we're going to explain how Chicago TIFs really work, clearly and simply, using a pitcher of lemonade and a drinking glass. Suppose that the pitcher on the left is you, Mr. or Ms. Random Chicago resident. The lemonade inside the pitcher is your money. The glass on the right refers to the financial accounts for various Chicago public services, public schools, public transportation, public roads, public libraries, public parks, the fire department, and so on. Every year, Chicagoans pay their local taxes, and those taxes would go to help pay for their local public services. But to help spur economic development, the City Council may declare portions of Chicago to be a TIF. This then does two things. It limits the amount that the zone is taxed, and declares that zone to stay at that limit for up to 24 years. This limit is the increment in tax increment financing. The idea is that by limiting the amount the zone is taxed, you and others get to keep more of your lemonade, or more of your money, thus fostering economic growth and development. But the problem is that the needs of the community will grow over time, and property values of that TIF will also increase, thus increasing the amount of taxes that you pay over time. The one thing that doesn't increase over time is the amount of lemonade, your taxes, to those local public services. You, the tax-paying Chicagoan, still pay those additional taxes. So where does that extra TIF money go if it doesn't go to the public services in the TIF? The extra tax money has been funneled for years into a long secret and unaccountable fund controlled by the mayor of Chicago. The main beneficiary for many years had been longtime Chicago Mayor Richard M. Daley. That fund had grown to span more than $500 million annually, a sixth of the city's official budget, sourced from 152 active TIFs covering 30% of the land area of Chicago. The combined result of this financial reallocation is what's referred to as the shadow budget. At this point, you may think this is muddle-headed conspiracy thinking by cranky left-wing activists with an axe to grind. Except for one thing. The shadow budget exists. In late 2009, journalists with the Chicago Reader, with the help of a series of Illinois Freedom of Information Act requests, were able to pry from the city a copy of the shadow budget. As bad as it is to have a second secret off-the-book Chicago budget, it's worse than that. The shadow budget revealed that the money that's received via TIFs is itemized on a TIF-by-TIF basis. The result is that wealthier neighborhoods have more money in their TIFs than poorer neighborhoods, and thus more TIF money at the ready. The rich stay rich, the poor stay poor. What's more, money in one TIF can be transferred to an adjacent TIF, and that usually means TIF funds gravitate toward richer wards and richer TIFs. What is the accumulated TIF money used for? According to the shadow budget, some funds are actually used for public infrastructure building and development, but a great deal of the itemized entries amount to subsidies for well-connected corporations. For example, the Ogilvy Transportation French Market in downtown Chicago opened in February 2010 with the help of $12 million in TIF funds, nearly double the yearly TIF total of 6 of the poorer Chicago TIFs combined. A great deal of the struggle regarding TIFs has been just to find out what's going on. For years, Chicago Mayor Richard M. Daley and his functionaries were notoriously tight-lipped about the real details of the program, and the Chicago corporate media has seldom investigated or reported on TIFs. It's been through the dogged efforts of so-called TIF nerds and independent journalists, most notably Ben Joravsky and Mick Dumke of the Chicago Reader, who have been able to find out what is publicly known about TIFs. The efforts have been paying off. Chicago Alderman Tom Allen made history by critically raising TIFs as a concern for the 2010 budget. Plus, with a severe recession and various financial mismanagement scandals affecting city services, more people, and even Chicago's corporate media, have begun to take notice of the TIF program and its massive funds. Nevertheless, the City Council voted 38-12 to approve the city budget in 2010 without a package of Allen's TIF reforms. And most of Chicago's corporate media continue to downplay TIFs or their importance. But things may change, and quickly, since as dismal as the entire TIF situation is, we may not even have reached bottom yet. Since there's no oversight of the TIF program, there's no guarantee that the money that's been allotted to TIFs is actually there. Like the infamous derivative scandals affecting Wall Street, where a collapse resulted from building billions of dollars of assets out of pure wind, we may see a financial collapse of Chicago city finances built on the backs of missing, dare say stolen, Chicago TIF dollars. To avert the possibility of such a collapse, TIF reform is needed and long overdue. A critical component of that reform: make TIFs an issue and continue to expose TIFs to the light of day.
Chicago Independent Television is not brought to you by Walmart. There's a reason we're the world's most profitable corporation. We pay our employees peanuts. Learn more at walmartwatch.com. Walmart. Always low wages, always.
I'm Alejandro Molina, and you're watching Chicago Independent Television.
I see the soul of a nation, must be true, 'cause I've seen it on TV.